Chill Computer Guy coming to you from the deep studios. We're going to do a product review. This is a thing you pump it up here and it helps support your neck. Got these neck issues I've been dealing with. Also got this eyewear on. We're going to do some product reviews on the eyewear and this right here. If you're staring at the screen and you got neck pains and you're in your 40s and shit, you need this type of stuff. It's very inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon. We're going to be doing some product reviews, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. So you don't miss those. We're going to get right into it this week. We're in the Bitwig studio. The Bitwig's the DAW that I use. It's the DAW that, the only DAW I use pretty much nowadays. So we're going to get into a track that I was just working on. This is a dance track. We're trying to get into this 4/4 kind of dance kind of rhythm. It's kind of I'm basically focusing on sound design, and I think that, the EDM genre is really good for learning sound design, and that's why I've been just kind of anchoring that 4/4, not worrying about it, but then working on the sound design around the 4/4. That way I don't have to work on complex rhythms. I can anchor everything to that 4/4. And as far as sound designing goes, it's actually kind of a really good way to sound design. That's made me actually go down the industrial route, so I've been getting more into producing industrial music. Get in here and make like a 4/4 track. We're going to be in Bitwig Studio. That's where I'm going to do my sound design. That's where I'm going to build from, is Bitwig Studio. So all the tutorials on the channel from now on will be on Bitwig Studio. Anyway, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys again. Let's get into the tutorial this week, all right? All right, so Bitwig Studio, here's this thing here, and there's gonna be little things along the way. Anyway, this follow playback, basically, this little button here. Bitwig Studio, make it like so you lock this thing down. This button right here. Oh, good, you can see it. It's right above my head there. But this button right here, make it so you can lock it down, because the thing is, if I come up in and I zoom in on the area of the song, it automatically turns this off. And so I would like it if the tracking followed that. Ideally, I'd like to play this. See how it turned off there? Basically lock in the playhead and always center that playhead. It doesn't matter if I come in here and zoom in and try to do some crazy editing. I want that to be kind of like locked on, if you will. So yeah, Bitwig Studio, get on that. This is the DAW of the future. And so this is a request I have. Also being able to name your tracks. I don't know. It seems that I've been using a lot of buses, so that helps me out. I know this is effects layer, but this is a bus. So, but certain instances when I'm automating, depending on how you have your chain set up, there's arbitrary information that comes up down here, and being able to name your automation. So that's another one. Anyway, I'm not gonna come in here and fuss around about things I'd like to see in Bitwig Studio. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the track, okay? So as I said, I got this 4/4. This thing's anchored down, and I'm going to build around it, okay? Let's take a look at that kick drum there. So that's what I got. I got the kick drum. It's the big kick, okay? The big kick is my favorite kick drum synthesizer, whatever you want to call it, kick drum creator. The big kick it's old and it's a classic. It has a tone to it that putting a plug-in and then having to fix it with effects. I like the plug-in. I can just put it on the track by itself and get pretty darn close to the kick sound I want. And for me, that's the big kick. We have it going through an effects layer, and you can see this effects layer is being automated by this curve right here. So you can see, and when it gets here, what it's going to do is it's going to turn on this Berserker, okay? Berserker's a new distortion unit from Waves. This is one of the hottest distortion units that I have ever used. I love this distortion unit. It's actually better than the Abbey Road version, in my opinion. The Abbey Road version is nice and slick, but to me, when those four distortion units came out, I thought Berserk was the best. I thought that was the best of the four. The three that came out like in a bundle, those three, those I don't like those at all. I'm not trying to like whine about stuff or, put them down. But as far as there's those four distortion units, if you're gonna pick one, pick Berserk, okay? Man, get yourself some water. And then after that, if we close that down, we have a tool. And I always put a tool on each and every track in my mix. Just put it up there. It should be the first thing you pull for. If you ever need to adjust the amplitude of anything, don't use your faders. Use this utility or tool. And I've renamed everything with double slash. This is an OCD combined with the ability to be able to quickly see what you're looking at when you're in like this mix. Like if you're in this mix down here, now you can see these plugins. You can see them very clearly down here. You can open up the big kick from this view. If you want to open up your neutron, you can open it up from this view right here. And so that's pretty much what we got on the big kick right there. Let's go back to the arrange view. Of course, we have the neutron, and neutron's something that I came up on this holiday season. They just kept sending me. They gave me the greatest deal on neutron. It's a neutron and ozone, but the advanced. I got like neutron advanced plus ozone advanced. I got like this killer deal on these. So these are my new additions. They're going to take over a lot of my mixing needs just because I think these are the best plugins for that. They really take the digital world and the acoustic analog world, and they have a really good mix between, a good marriage between those two things, And so to me, the iZotope plugins were always way beyond my price range. But if you just buy a $50 plugin from them once, you're a member, and you're going to get, incredible deals, And if it comes around the holidays, you got a little extra money. You can always get neutron and ozone advanced for, insanely cheap, And so they're my new tools, and they've really kind of changed my music production in a lot of ways because I'm less worried about the presets. Have always been very, very good starting points for me with the ozone plugins. If this is a kick drum, then I'm going to use a kick drum preset, and it gives me really what I need as far as ballparking that shit. Okay, so if we play this here. Now you can hear that snare sounds really loose. I mean, it sounds loose. It sounds baggy. I mean, I love the snare here, So if you put those two together with the distortion, They sound kind of destructive. They sound like you're thinking this, and this is what I thought. I thought this kick drum has way too much distortion on it. I'm like, I don't like distorting my kick that much. It sounds a little digital, that distorted. But I was like, once I add a bass line in there, you gotta always, the way your instruments fit together is of utmost importance. So then we put the bass with that. Now we got the kick, that floppy, loud sounding, ringy snare drum, and then we got this kick with just a shitload of like the Berserker on there. It's got all kinds of distortion, but with this bass, which is the Anna 2, which is a synth we're going to talk about on an upcoming tutorial. The Anna 2 is just it's a beautiful piece. Highly recommend it. But then when you add the bass, then you get something. And put a little sprinkle on top, and that's your hi-hats, and everything's running through neutron. And here's why, is because we're gonna experience the visual mixer right here, okay? So let's play this now with the hi-hats. Okay, so we got to go over this lead chunk. Now, this lead chunk is really an aggressive lead. Like, it's the type of lead that might chase you away, but it's the type of lead that somehow really does grab your attention. What's going on here is nails, which is a hive right here. Okay, nails, and that's getting layered up with, which this part is muted till later. So this is basically an instrument layer where this layer is getting muted, okay, and that's another version of Hive. Also, this, you can see that I'm right on the browser paces. This is something that I really like about Yuhi instruments, is if you use the preset browser and you bring that up, you're still on the preset browser, which I really like, because as far as a lot of VSTs are really good at sound design and have really, really good presets. Those are the VSTs you need to invest in, because those are the VSTs that are going to get you the furthest in music production. And one of those is definitely Hive 2. So I do use it a lot of times when I'm building ideas quickly as a browser. We got the bass high here. And we also have a bass low. So there's two different instrument layers going on here. So you can see that the bass low is an arpeggio. It's like an arpeggio going on. And then we have the bass high, which is, both of these are Anna 2s. And they're both basically have the neutron and an Anna 2 here. And then we got the bass warp. That's basically what we're using for our main kind of arpeggio bass sound. But this has a really kind of a tingy sound, and it's also side chain to the kick. Everything's side chain to the kick. And then we have a neutron. We have a neutron on every channel. The neutron on every channel is extremely important. It's also extremely important that you name everything, because when it comes to the visual mixer, which this whole video is about, it shows, it's basically, this is how you mix nowadays. All right, so those are the three basses, and we don't have them in a bus yet. We'll probably eventually put these in a bass bus, maybe throw some even more distortion on there. Then we have the chords here. Which is something that this is actually I've really been trying to work more on the sound design, These are important things, But basically, this isn't playing a chord, it's playing a single note, but it's through the Hive, which, like I say, the Hive is one of my favorite VSTs. It's got an incredible browser on it, And I love the tags category. What you do is you pick out a tag, you tag it. You tag what you're looking for, and it puts you in the ballpark. And then you can work off of that sound. You can also go right over here and work with stuff the filters, work with, possibly adding some automation on the filters, basically, or whatever, automation type stuff you're into. And this is a wavetable synth going through the RS560 EQ. This is a gem from Waves. If you haven't checked out Waves, you got to check out Waves. We're going to do some tutorials. There's a tutorial on my channel on that EQ, which is actually pretty good. Do check it out. And then we have the lead arpeggio, which is a lot of arpeggios, a lot of autopilot going on here with this track. But when you're working on sound design, I recommend kind of like take the guesswork out of it and really focus in on sound design, you know. And sound design to me is fitting the instruments together. It's not sound designing each individual sound. It's sound designing those and mixing it and balancing it together, which is real sound design in my opinion, you know. But the lead arp is two of them right here. We have nails. Then we got nails, and then we have the house pipes. But the thing about these arpeggios is it just kind of shows you how rhythm works together. And so what's nice about this is you can always switch this, you know. You know. So, you know, you can get around inside the song pretty easy, you know. And so if you're in a preset mood, if you want to toss some presets, you only have an hour to work on a jam. You want to kind of throw something, throw that time and energy into the arrangement and into the sound design. Don't take a half hour to EQ a fucking kick drum. Just get right into the big blocks of sound design and the big blocks. And sound design to me is getting the sounds to fit together. That's huge. That's a huge part of sound design for me. And that is sound design, really. And then the other part is work on arranging, because unless you practice arranging, you won't arrange, and then you'll have a bunch of one-bar loops. And you'll have like folders with like 127, you know, project files in them, or the average frickin' project is, you know, a 4, 8, or 16 bar loop. It's, you have to get in there and start getting your arrangements in there, you know. If you want to get shit to the finished stage, you gotta focus and practice on arranging. So don't forget about that. Okay, next to the lead arp is the pluck. Synthmaster. I love me some Synthmaster. This is one of the first synths I ever spent money on, you know, serious like VST money, you know. And I love this. I love the Synthmaster. That's one of them, and then I have another one here. So what you can do in Bitwig Studio is you can automate your index, basically. You can automate, that's what's going on with this piece here. You know, it starts out. So you'll notice, basically, it adds to this sound, okay? So you have kind of a sequence that can happen right here. Oh, let me zoom in on this. Can we go big? Okay, let's move that over to there. So basically, when you see this automation, watch what it does here. It mutes the house pipes patch, okay? So basically, you've changed the feel of the song by just adding this, okay? So this is an additive sequence. This is not an exclusive sequence, okay? An exclusive sequence would be that if we were to unmute this and solo this at the same time. So it would switch completely. But instead, it's an addendum here. So watch the automation line and watch this mute switch will turn off, and then you get a whole different sound out of the same exact MIDI notes, same exact patch, really. And so what you're hearing is you're hearing this just added, okay? So if you play here, but if you put the playhead here, so now the idea is we could actually automate between these two plucks also, you know. You know, remember to get in here, you know, open up your automation lane, make your note lanes, be able to switch between those two. Like, just to be able to switch between those two kind of work environments quickly is pretty cool, pretty essential, pretty magical. And same with sound design, you know. But in the meantime, I just put big kick here, snares and hats, all on separate channels. And then bass high, bass low, and bass warp. I like to have a couple different bass sounds, and then some leads and chords and some plucks. And so if you just really center your sound design in that area, and we'll have more tutorials coming up on that, and then just kind of, you know, sandwich it together, make it sound good. You can get somewhere pretty quick, and, you know, you can get somewhere that feels productive. Remember that all this is quantized. All of this is the same velocity. None of this is from played-in clips. I actually have a tutorial coming up on played-in clips because played-in is really the way to go when you're starting a song. Play everything in with a keyboard and then quantize it, but keep your velocity information the same because that's the human element, you know. The human element of velocity, natural velocity on the keys is pretty powerful. But the idea here is the visual mixer. Now the visual mixer is, if you're going to use the Neutron plugins, you get the visual mixer. And then as you can see, this is setup A, which I've designated this as a snapshot. And so what you can do is you can actually move this around in a visual sense, meaning the closer it is to the top, the higher in dB the level it is. You know, you can put it in the center, to the side of the mix, the right and left. So it's a visual mixer. And it's pretty powerful. Hopefully, if you're wearing headphones, you can kind of hear this thing. I'm going to go ahead and use this visual mixer as I play through a busy part of this song. And you can kind of hear what's going on with it. It's pretty amazing, actually. So there really is nothing better than the Neutron visual mixer. It is really a cool, powerful thing because you can work on sound design and have Neutron kind of take care of the rest, and then open your visual mixer on the master track and put all your sounds into a space. You can control the width of each sound, the pan of each sound, and the volume, the gain of each sound. Having all those things right at your fingertips, really easy to get a cohesive, nice, balanced mix. So I've been going into old tracks and like actually working with Neutron to kind of bring some energy into some old tracks. But arranging and sound design, focus on those two. That's your chore. That's your homework. Practice, get into arranging, get into sound design. Bam, and you can really do that with Neutron. You can do that with Bitwig Studio. Those two right now are just a brutally powerful combo for me. Anyway, Chill Computer Guy, welcome to the Deep Studio. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the neck and the eyes, but hey, this is less of a strenuous situation, if you know what I mean. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again. Bye-bye.